Welcome to the Sunday School Reading Channel. If this reading is a blessing to you, please like, share, and subscribe. The lesson for November 12th, 2023 is entitled, Love Fulfills the Law. The devotional reading comes from Matthew chapter 22, verses 34 through 40. Background scriptures comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 8 through 13, and Romans chapter 13, verses 8 through 10. Print passages comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 8 through 13, and Romans chapter 13, verses 8 through 10. Key verse comes from Romans chapter 13, verse 9. Devotional reading, Matthew chapter 22, beginning at verse 34, reads as follows. Hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together. Verse 35. One of them, an expert in the law, tested him with this question. Verse 36. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Verse 37. Jesus replied, Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. Verse 38. This is the first and greatest commandment. Verse 39. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Verse 40. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. Background scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8, reads as follows. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. Verse 9, but we know in part, and we prophesy in part. Verse 10, but when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. Verse 11, when I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. Verse 12, for now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. Verse 13. And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Romans chapter 13, verse 8 reads as follows. Let no debt remain outstanding, except a continuing debt to love one another. For whoever loves others has fulfilled the law. Verse 9. The commandments, you should not commit adultery. You should not murder. You shall not steal. You shall not covet. And whatever other command there may be are summed up in this one command. Love your neighbor as yourself. Verse 10. Love does no harm to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. This concludes our reading. Please join with me as we recite Psalms 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Thank you for listening. If this reading has been a blessing to you, please like, share, and subscribe.